Welcome to Wargaming Recon. I am your host, Jonathan J. Reinhardt. Wargaming Recon is the only member of the TSR Podcast Network to discuss historical and New England gaming. This is episode number 223, How to Get Historical Miniatures. Today, we are joined by the one and only Mr. Adrian Benson. Adrian, how are you today?
I'm doing good, Don, for the most part.
I'm really excited and also feel kind of weird because I haven't been doing this for a long time. We've been on break for such a lengthy period of time, and I haven't been getting a chance to get back down into the studio. So it's been like 2 months since I've recorded one of these things.
Yeah, well, it's obviously been longer than that for me. I can't remember the last one I did. I know people have missed me, though.
They have, actually. Well, let's think. You were on the Dungeon World one, right?
Yeah.
From 2018. Did you do anything after that? I think that might be it.
That may have been the last one we did.
That one gets a lot of feedback from people because they love it. They really think it's one of the best episodes we put out.
Really? Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw some of that feedback. That's kind of good to know. I've spoken with the DM about running possibly a live game, or not necessarily a live game, but one that we record.
Yeah.
She's not down with that idea yet, but I'll keep working on it. We'll see how it goes.
Well, see, the wonderful thing about us recording it, especially if it's not live, we can always edit it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have Joshua, who's our incredible editor and sound engineer, and he just makes everything sound better.
Yep. Without whose skills, nobody would have ever heard the Dungeon World episode, by the way.
That is true, unfortunately. Oh, man, it was so much fun to record, but geez, that was plagued with technical problems.
Yeah, I don't even know why, but it was so bad, so bad. Very professional operation we run here, though. So.
Oh, well, we try. We don't have as big of a budget as some of those larger podcasts, like I know the Conan O'Brien Show or Serial. If NPR wants to give us millions of dollars to put out a show, then we can arrange things. NPR, if you're listening.
Yeah, chances are they're not, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
You can put us on right after Car Talk and before Serial, so it would be like a lead-in.
Yeah.
Get that underserved population.
Yeah, the gaming community who also repairs cars and stuff. Yeah, we got to catch those guys.
Well, of course, because if we don't, who will?
Right.
I mean, someone has to. For today's episode, though, I want to do a couple things before we dive in. One, I want to thank our sponsors. I want to thank the incredible people at the Maine Historical Wargamers Association for their support and help. And really, without them, we wouldn't be able to put the show on and do all the things that we do. They are the people who run Huzzah, and we are going, you and I, this May, actually. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing other people there. I actually got some news that my daughter's first dance recital, of course, happens to be that Saturday. And I'm like, oh, for crying out loud. So I'm going to have to be a bad dad and miss it. But thankfully, my wife will be there and my parents and just about my entire family because we're crazy like that. But then I also want to thank the amazing people over at Enfilade. They put on the largest historical miniatures wargaming convention west of the Mississippi. You'll be able to find that at the Red Lion Inn in Olympia, Washington, May 24th through the 26th, 2019. So it's literally the weekend after Huzzah. So someone could go to Huzzah on May 17th and be there for that weekend. And then the following weekend, hit the other coast and hit up Enfilade. So they're both really good conventions. I've never been to Enfilade, but I've seen pictures and I've talked with people who've run things there. It looks amazing. I think it should be on everyone's bucket list.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going some year. It is on the West Coast, which makes it a little tough. And plus here we're a little bit spoiled because, Cold War's Fallen and Historicon are all not too far away.
True.
But which are obviously big historical conventions. I would like to see Enfilade, though, because, I'm the same. I read the con reports and look at the pictures and everything. It's like, ooh.
It looks really good, and a bunch of listeners on the show put on events there, or they go and they play. So it'd be kind of neat to have a sort of informal show meetup out there and just kind of get to see some people in person. It'd be pretty cool. And I think it's a good analog. I think both Huzzah and Enfilade are nice kind of comparisons on each coast I think they're similar size. They appeal to a similar audience, and I think they have a similar ethos about just trying to have fun and be good and help one another. And not every entity is like that, so they're just good people.
Yeah. But well, if NPR does pick up a sponsorship or offers just to bring us on board, maybe we could hook that up next year.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, why not? NPR, knock, 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 if you're listening.
Yeah, we're never going to Enflad.
Well, hey, you never know. We could get, I don't know, an angel investor or someone be like, hey, we really should send those guys to Enfilade. And the next thing you know, we're flown out, we're put up in a hotel and treated as special guests or something. I don't know. It could happen. You and I are famous, my friend, because we are in a documentary about tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
It just came out on DVD. Very excited. Now a word from a gamer.
Yep. I saw that. I saw library. Is Norwood Library? Are they the ones that are going to be?
I'm not sure. I think there might be a few libraries here in Massachusetts that will be having it in their collections, so the public can access. And I also heard that it will soon be on Amazon Prime. Now, I don't know if that means as streaming, which I think is what it means, or if it'll be as like a purchase. But I think it'll be streaming on Amazon Prime.
Well, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty neat. So, I mean, we're famous with some big names in there, and that could do something for us. NPR, again, if you're listening.
Yeah. Oh my God. There might be some people who listen to NPR who are listening, but I don't think that's going to do us any good.
No, probably not. Ira Glass is not like, whoa, we got to get those Wargaming Recon guys on. Quick, stop the presses. We're moving them over and setting them up here. And they're going to be on the radio. And they'll be on podcast. It'll be great. Don't worry, it'll be huge. Today, though, we're talking about a topic because of some problems that you had recently. By recently, I mean within the past 6 months, of obtaining some historical wargaming product. And I was quite flummoxed, actually, that you had these difficulties. But you and I both kind of thought, right, this was an opportunity to share this experience and then share ways that people can avoid it and that others can get the product that they need in the games and all that kind of stuff with the minimal amount of fuss. So do you want to clue everyone in on what happened and why we're here?
Yeah, so back in, it must have been September, I guess. I ordered, excuse me, I ordered a bunch of stuff from an online supplier that I use all the time. And it wasn't anything like particularly, wasn't anything exotic or any like unusual items or whatnot. It was, God, I don't remember, it was 2 platoons of, I think, Sherman tanks from the Plastic Soldier Company, and there was a couple of early model Panzer IVs from Battlefront, and something else. Oh, it was the Panzer Shrek and Flamethrower team from Warlord Games. And so I placed this order in, like I say, I think it was September. And when I ordered the stuff, everything was listed on the website as being in stock. And so, a couple of days ago, but you get the automatic email that, your order has been processed. And then a couple of days later, I got the shipping email, which I didn't pay a lot of attention to. But then when the product arrived, which what they shipped actually showed up very quickly. It always does. It was, I think, 3 days altogether, maybe not even. But I opened the box. I was like, man, this box is awfully small. I opened the box. The only thing that was in it was 1 platoon of the Sherman 4s. And I went back and checked the shipping notice, and I said that all the other stuff that I ordered was out of stock, despite being listed as in stock on the website. And that shouldn't happen, but it does happen. So it wasn't that unusual. So that was fine. So another, maybe it was 3 weeks, maybe it was a month. Another month went by. I didn't hear anything from them. So I sent an email off, said, hey, I ordered this stuff. When is it going to show up? Is it going to be coming back in stock? Blah, blah, blah. Never got a response. And then, end of November, maybe. So we're going on 2.5 months now. I just got not a random email, but I got an email from them saying that they had given me a gift certificate for the amount of the stuff that they were apparently never going to ship. So $37. So I got a gift store to this store for $37, but I can't use it to get the stuff that I want. So that's the first problem. But I was like,
I can just picture you being yourself, all level-headed and calm and collected about all this. Be like, oh, okay, I guess this happens.
Yeah, it does. If I had like returned stuff, so shoot, I ordered the wrong thing. If I'd returned stuff and you give me a gift certificate in that circumstance, that's fine. But if you just can't be bothered to fulfill the order, I want my cash back. I don't want a gift certificate to your store that can no longer meet my needs. So, but anyway, a gift certificate is what I got. So around Christmas, I was like, I should really use this gift certificate. So I ordered, again, stuff that wasn't unusual or rare or hard to come by. And it was again, from Warlord Games. This time it was a plastic tank model for the 28 millimeter, for bolt action chain of command. It was a Panzer 38. And again, I ordered the flamethrower and Panzerschreck teams because they were in stock. So I placed that order December, well, it was right before Christmas. And then nothing happened. I got the automated order. Hey, we got your order. It's going to be processed soon. And I was like, yeah, that's a lie because it's Christmas and New Year's, but okay. But then it comes to be mid-January and I haven't heard a peep from them. So I sent an email. I said, basically, what is with you guys? Where's this stuff? What happened to the order? And I got an email back this time for a change very quickly. And said, oh my God, I don't know how we missed this. I don't know how we lost the order. I didn't see it. But as it turns out, neither one of those items is in stock. Is there anything else I can get you? I was like, well, are they going to be back in stock? And this is stuff that you can go to almost any local game store and pick it up off the shelf.
I love it.
But this guy can't get it. So it's like, well, and what he told me was it was out of stock and unavailable from whoever his distributor is. So, all right, fine. And I ended up, I needed some paint anyway. So I just ordered like almost $40 worth of Vallejo paints, which is fine because I would have bought them anyway. But it's not what I wanted. So he did actually, I got that order in he turned that around immediately. I got that in, was it next day? No, it was 2 days. I got that in 2 days. But it was just a very piss poor experience from a store that I've been buying from for almost since I've gotten back into miniatures gaming. So I don't know, a long freaking time I've been ordering from this particular store. And it was just kind of a disaster. But then after all this settled down, I went back and I started poking through the website. And I found out that a lot of the historical stuff, a lot of the stuff that's just, bog standard stuff that you need to start an army from, like Warlord, from Now, Plastic Soldier Company is a little bit different. Their stuff is notoriously in and out of stock because of the way they do their production runs. But Warlord isn't like that. Battlefront isn't like that with the Flames of War stuff. But he doesn't have any of it. It's like you go on the website, it's like you click the Warlord link and it shows all these awesome things you can get for the German army, but none of them are in stock. And if what I just went through was any indication, they're not going to be in stock ever again. So I don't know what's going on, if it's really his distributor that's causing the problem, or if he's going to move out of the historical miniatures thing, which is too bad because he's the one was the one reliable source. If you're into 10 millimeter, the Pendraken 10 millimeter figures, he's the one good source for that in the US that I know of. So yeah, I don't know what was going on there, but it was more than a little bit annoying and extremely disappointing. So I've had to look around and find some new distributors, which wasn't all that hard to do, to be honest with you. If anybody's looking for one, Michigan Toy Soldier is not a bad choice. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of the way that went.
I'm not entirely surprised, to be honest. Like you, I've been using that online vendor for years, decades, actually.
Yeah.
And they've been really good. And one of the things I really liked about them, and this will give it away, but one of the things I really liked about them was that not only were they an online vendor, but they were also a brick and mortar friendly local game store for their area that had, grown and expanded and so forth. So I've, over the years, have noticed a few things, and I can't say for certain that this is absolutely what's going on. I'm not saying it's fact. This is just my kind of hypothesis about it. But I believe what they do is that for all their quote unquote standard stuff, whatever that happens to be, bolt action or whatever, I think their website automatically lists everything as in stock, whether it is or it is not. I do not believe it's a real time system. I don't think it's, and I think they're like, okay, generally these are in stock all the time, generally. And so they don't like track it publicly. So obviously in the back end, they probably have some sort of inventory system that they use. Cause like you can't run a business like that without having some sort of inventory system. You're not just gonna be like, let's go in the warehouse and climb up 5 feet up in the air and see what's on the shelf. Like you're not doing that, right?
Yeah.
So they have to have something, QuickBooks or whatever people use, so I think the website just always says like in stock, unless it's something that's kind of like in the terms of people play collectible card games or collectible miniatures games like Access and Allies Word C or whatever. I think the commons are always listed as in stock. I think the uncommons are those ships in 2 to 3 days things that they list because they don't know. They might get it in. They might have to order it. They might have some. And then I think the rares are the ones that are either they've moved out and so they show up in their discount area, or they're the ones that like they don't list on the website, but you got to call or email and they'll order. What I've also noticed is, of course, they carry Games Workshop because you can't really be in business without doing Magic or Games Workshop if you're a game store.
No, because when you say friendly local game store, you mean your local GW Magic Gathering outlet. That's
usually
that's all it means to be a local game store.
Because like the markup on the Magic stuff anyway, you get such a great return on investment because then it also bleeds into other things like refreshments and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
With the Games Workshop stuff, I get their emails because I'm on the mailing list for this online vendor, and I'll often see that they say, "Oh, this new product is coming out for Games Workshop, a new Battle Force, a new army, a new model. Get your pre-orders in by whatever date." So I think what they're doing is, I don't think they're just buying a bunch and having them in stock. I think they're really going to that Kickstarter kind of model where they know something's coming out, but they're only buying enough to cover people who have expressed that they will actually want one and put a down payment on or bought with a few extra to have in stock, because otherwise they have all this inventory and then they suffer all the depreciation. It makes all this business stuff kind of crazy. And then what if it never moves? So they spend all this money on it. And I think maybe with the change in economy and all that kind of stuff, I think maybe they got hit with some things. And I think they've had to realign. And I don't know if it's just them or if it's kind of just like online gaming vendors in general. Like that's what I can't figure out. But like I think they're very specific on what they have and what they don't. And even like paints, I tried to get some GW paints a while back from them. Things that were like new-ish, right? Some of their texture paints and things like that. And basing paints that they have that are like more texturized so that you can just kind of use, instead of having to be like, here, put my flock down and then spray my flock and then paint my flock or whatever, that it's already textured that way. I think that what they doing again is probably they're just not keeping much in stock. So I'm not quite sure why that is, but I'm going to presume it has something to do with the way that they just have to keep inventory, because maybe they had too much inventory and they just couldn't bear to have that as often. But I agree with you. I think that they have a shift, that maybe their customer base isn't as large of historicals as maybe it once was. But I also know that at least with Warlord, internally, Warlord has been having some adjustments being made. And for example, they were distributing Test of Honor. That is no longer happening. Test of Honor has gone in-house to the new company that's kind of overseeing it and joined in with Footsore Miniatures. And so the people that do Gangs of Rome and that do Test of Honor, they have a new game coming out, Mortal Gods and all this. So like that's not being done through Warlord anymore. And I wonder if Warlord is trying to extend into all these other things. Like they had the problems with Terminator, so like that didn't work out so well. But they're pushing some of these new games and then the new edition of Black Powder and all that kind of stuff. So I think maybe Warlord has such a diverse portfolio that maybe they're having difficulty getting stuff out to a smaller vendor like this. And it's not small, but like in the scheme of things, right? It's not a Warlord, because people can just go to Warlord and order online and buy, and they'll ship out to you or whatever.
Yeah. Or so I can drive up to the hobby bunker in Malden if I actually want to drive to Malden, which I never do. But
you don't have to drive there though, because this is a wonderful thing about them. You can order online, and even if they don't have it listed on their website, because again, they're even a smaller operation, right? So
Yeah.
even if they don't have it listed on their website, you can just send them an email and place an order via email, and they'll do it, and then you're all set. And so that way you don't have to worry about stuff. They'll ship it to you. You reach a certain threshold. There's a coupon code you can use, so you get free shipping from them. And they're, for us anyway, a local-ish game store with a strong support of the community. They're at gaming conventions and game days. They do a lot, both for the historical and sci-fi fantasy and pulp and just that general gaming community. They make a large presence for a smaller store.
Yeah, they definitely do. And they're kind of one of the exceptions to the rule where local game store means Magic and 40K. But
Yeah.
But my thing really was, I mean, you can explain away why the stuff isn't in inventory. That's fine. It's not unavailable. If it's on your website, go get it. And if you're not going to be bothered to do that, give me my money back. But the attitude seemed to be, it was like, all right, well, we don't have this stuff. We'll give him a gift certificate. We're going to get $40 out of this clown one way or the other, whether we get him what he wants or if he just picks something to be done with us. That was kind of the way it felt. So anyway, done with them.
Well, I think the big fault where they really dropped the ball was, I don't think it's necessarily that. I think they should have just refunded you money. But I think the fault was the lack of communication and the poor communication and just like the whatever. Like maybe they have a large enough volume, it makes it hard. But again, they're in this business.
Not my problem. Yeah,
exactly. They got to provide the customer support. They got to provide the customer service for what they're doing. So if they can't just handle whatever, then that's a problem. I know I'm very anal about things and rather uptight. Part of it's my anxiety. Part of it's just like how I am. So that I need to follow up on stuff. So with them especially, but with anyone I do business with online, like I do business, and then if I don't hear back in a day or two, I follow up again and follow up. So I really like I ride them, and I got burnt once where there was issues, and ever since then, like I ride them. And the good thing about this company, the owner lets you contact him directly. Like he has however many people who work for him. But he responds to messages. So like I will just contact him directly. He gets the stuff. I'll call and I'll ask to talk to him. Should I have to do this? No. But like I've done it. I've gotten a resolution, favorably so. And then they usually throw in extra stuff to try to make up for it. I think they're just like, oh, if someone really cared enough, they'll do that. And since you didn't do that, they were just like, whatever. But I think that's poor customer service.
Yeah. Yeah, that was what I was kind of wondering, because the stuff that I had ordered originally the second time around came to, I don't know, it was like $35 or something like that. And then the paints I picked out were about $6 or $7 more than that. And I was like, see, here's a chance to make it all better. Just eat the extra $6, but he didn't do that. So now I didn't ask him to, but if he had just done that, that would have been pretty decent.
Yeah, it's a gesture.
Hmm?
It's a gesture.
Yeah.
Showing that they care and that they're going to try to do something to make it right. Wave shipping, to try to get it to you quicker, or some way to show that they care and that they value your business.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Well, I'll keep an eye on that website and see what it looks like. I was actually on it right before we came up here, and what I said before that a lot of the stuff was now showing is out of stock. Now a lot of the stuff from Warlord, from Flames of War guys got it's gone. Battlefront. Now it just doesn't show up at all.
Oh, it's not even on their site.
Yeah, so I have no idea what's going on there. But I don't know. We'll see.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, like I said, there's other options out there, including ordering direct from the manufacturer, which is usually not the least expensive way to go. In fact, it's never the least expensive way to go. But it is an option, so it's not like the stuff is unavailable. But
no, that's really odd, especially for the Battlefront stuff, because they're doing a discount right now where you use a special promo code, you get free shipping after you buy X amount of Battlefront stuff, and you would think that would mean they'd want to have a well stock.
Well, but if you look, I bet what they're well stocked in is the modern and Vietnam stuff, and not so much the World War II.
Well, I'm taking a peek. Of course, you got to click through a gazillion things, which really annoys me to no end, to really like hone in and just show all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like they have some stuff. I'm looking at Americans, for example, for World War II, mortar platoons, and uh, you got armored rifle platoons for winter and things like that. And they show, but what they're showing is, quote, regular stock usually ships in one business day for a lot of this, which may or may not be true, but like, I don't know, it's weird. They do say though, on some of the things, they have a special kind of color that they use to denote a special note, as it were. And it says
Yes.
Battlefront orders usually ship in 2 to 5 days. So that makes me think like maybe perhaps a lot of these things, especially those that have that, they don't order until they get an order for it. So it's kind of like a print on demand sort of system, which is frustrating.
Yeah. Just a second. I'm in there. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that's just what I've noticed. And but either way, like either you're in the business or you're not. And so like you and I both have loved this vendor and have used them for ages. But then the question becomes, what if you're in a place in the world where you don't have this vendor? Or what if you've used them when you've had troubles or you have had problems with the vendors that you use? What do you do and how are ways that you can obtain the miniatures and the gaming products, whether they're gaming aids and dice or rules or whatever? How can you get that stuff that you need and you want?
Yeah. Well, like I said, there's always the go direct to the manufacturer option. Um, like I really like the Pendraken's 10 millimeters. And in fact, I just ordered an American AWI Army from them. So, and it's the figures on the price that you pay just for the figures to the manufacturer there, in this case, is not much, if any more than you would have paid if you'd ordered them from this other store. But what you do have to eat then, at least if you're in the States like we are, is the international shipping. And that's a big kick in the crotch. But they'll get you the stuff and they'll get it pretty quickly. I mean, Pendraken they don't quite cast to order, but they don't always have stuff in stock. So sometimes you got to wait. In fact, I had to wait for these guys. I just got the notice today that they had shipped. I ordered it, was it last week or the week before? I don't remember. But they will get it to you, and it's not going to be a huge wait usually. So, but that wherever you're at, assuming you have an internet access, that at least is always an option, is going direct to the manufacturer.
I will say you're right about international shipping, but one of the sad benefits for those of us who live here in the States when buying from, say, British manufacturers is that because of Brexit, and not to get all political, but because of Brexit and everything, the pound just isn't doing as well to the American dollar. So
Yeah.
we actually make out quite well with the exchange rates.
With exchange rates, yeah, definitely.
So it's just like it, yeah, maybe it's like, I don't know, 50 pounds or whatever, but then whenever that comes to American dollars, works out really great for us. Now, if you're in a place like Australia, they just get smacked around really hard, both on the cost and then on the shipping and everything.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of it depends on where you are and where things are going and that kind of stuff. So, would I love paying international shipping? No, but if I'm going to get the stuff I need and it's the best way to make sure that I get what I need when I need it, maybe it's worth doing. It just means maybe you don't order as often, right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of where I'm at on it. I mean, it's like my typical mode of operation is to like, ooh, I want to do like, these couple of tanks for a particular battle I'm looking to play. So I'll order like 3 tanks, and so I'll have them for this particular scenario I have in mind. Can't really afford to do that if you're ordering overseas. So you got to, like this time I ordered an entire army. That's the only way to really make it cost effective. Of course, as the weight goes up, the price goes up, but they're 10 millimeter figures, so the weight's of no consequence anyway, really. But just as a general rule, yeah, big orders make sense if you're going to do it that way.
Of course, and a way to do it too, if you don't want to shoulder that whole burden, is kind of join up with a buddy or have your club do a whole order or something of that sort, and then you just kind of divide it out so that way people pay for this stuff and you just cut the shipping up, and then it's not as bad, and you kind of help everyone. So like if you and 3 of your friends are going to be playing whatever the game is, you get your stuff, and that way like, hey, we all got our stuff, so we can start working on it and building and assembling and reading the rules and all that kind of thing.
Yep.
It's not a bad way to do it.
No, it's not.
I got to say, and this won't work for everything, but people really underestimate eBay. And it's not something I would have recommended, except one of our listeners and a member of Maine Historical Wargaming Association, Gabriel Landowski. get so many things there at such a steep discount. It's amazing. And often these are things that people have already assembled and or painted. So maybe either you have to live with the paint scheme or the way that they've assembled it, or you can do like a quick like paint removal sort of thing. But he gets so much stuff, and he'll take like lots of things that even ones that have stuff that he doesn't want to get pieces that he does want, because then it becomes cost effective in that he's able to sell or trade off the other stuff. So that's, I mean, is it great if you want a brand new shiny thing that you're going to do everything yourself from the beginning? Probably not the best way to go about to do it, but you could get some stuff this way.
Yeah.
Especially if you just want to test out a set of rules or a new scenario or things of that sort. So you can kind of get things that might be comparable or nearabouts. It takes a little bit of search foo to make sure that you have stuff that you really want, but you can set up save searches in there. So if there's certain terms that you want to look for, more specific is better. So things like airfix is better than just saying plastic models, or you know, like Flames of War, Battlefront, World War II Americans is much better than Battlefront because that's going to give you whatever, or World War II. But like you can really hone in on what you want. So like I have saved searches for hat industry, ancient Romans, just because if there's a really good deal, it could be worth it for me to get it and then pay someone just to paint them up or whatever. So like you never know. Is this going to be the way you're going to get all your stuff? No, but I think it's kind of a case of like you need many different components to build a pie, and this is just one way to build that pie, which is your wargaming experience.
Yep. Yeah. No, I actually never look at eBay. I don't know. eBay gives me a headache. But you're right. It's definitely not a. It's if you don't mind doing the searching and everything, which can be a full-time job, it's not a bad way to go at all.
That's why, though, like the save searches is the way to go. Don't just search all the time. Set them up so that way the searches are done automatically.
Yeah.
eBay just runs it through its algorithms, and then you get emails right in your inbox. If you have a smartphone, right, they'll show up on your screen as a notification. So you see it, and you can be like, "Oh, I got to act on this right away," or "No, I don't need that," or whatever it is. And so you spend a bunch of time in the beginning, I think, but afterwards, it's not so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
You mentioned another online vendor that you like?
Well, there's a bunch of them, really. This one I stumbled across when I was looking for Plastic Soldier Company for the rule books for Battle Group, which are very hard to come by. But it's Michigan Toy Soldier, and they're huge, and I imagine most people probably know about them. But if you don't, that is a good place to go, not just for wargaming stuff, but for any kind of general modeling, diorama making, anything like that you want to do. Prices are reasonable. They're not, they're not bargain basement, but they're not bad, and they ship quick. So I've bought a lot of stuff from them in the last, since I got into Battle Group. So the last, 6 months or so, maybe, I guess.
Wow. I've never heard of them before.
Really? Well, yeah, no, they're quite big. I mean, they're one option. There is, I haven't used these guys recently, mostly because their online experience is pretty bad. But Brookhurst Hobbies, yeah, I know, but they huge inventory, huge selection of stuff. But yeah, their online shopping experience is pretty bad. No excuse for that.
I think I've had one of my worst shopping experiences with them, period. Not just because online was terrible, but the whole way that they handled it. It was just for a few Peter Pig pieces. It was so bad. No communication. It took, months and months and months and months, and then the things randomly showed up at my door long after I had written off that I was never going to get them. And I still don't know what happened, but the communication was awful. Oh my goodness.
Well, at least they eventually showed up, unlike my experience.
True, but you got, pretend money back that you got to spend on other things.
Yeah.
I would have rather that. I would have rather than be like, we'll give you a gift certificate. And then I would have just been like, okay, what do you have in stock? What can I actually get? What will you ship now? Now, what do I need to wait 5 months for you to decide that maybe you're going to ship or get from overseas? Or I don't know, because they never told me, which is really weird.
Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah. But those are two options. And like I said, Michigan Toy Soldier in particular is a good one. But if you just search, I mean, as if you were looking for stuff on eBay, let's say, you're going to get a ton of hits of like small shops, a couple of people who are doing figures, and in particular buildings and stuff now. Because I've been looking for 10 millimeter buildings for, you know, the Americas for use in both Rev War and American Civil War. I've decided to do the Civil War in 10 millimeter now instead of 15. It's just more cost effective and space effective. But anyway, if you go to like the major manufacturers, there's not a ton of 10 millimeter stuff out there. There's some, but not much. But with the advent of like 3D printing and whatnot, there's a lot of decent quality buildings out there. And I was actually quite surprised at the results I got when I started looking for them this time, as opposed to the last time, which was, I don't know, a year or two ago, which really hasn't been all that long. But there's a lot of options out there for 10 millimeter stuff now that at least in my memory, there wasn't before. I think 10 millimeter is a good scale. It's a popular scale, particularly for the grand battle type stuff where you want to have a lot of stuff on the table. I think 10 millimeter is a great way to go because, you know, it is smaller than 15. You can scale the games down, like the ground scale of the game, you can make smaller, and consequently you can play bigger battles with more stuff on the table. So anyway.
No, that's not a bad way to go. I know, of course, people are always concerned, or is the place reputable? Are they going to do whatever they're going to say? And like, I think you need to just kind of find one, give them a try with something small. And if it works out, then you keep on going. I would also recommend, and I think they do things that small, but we've talked with Iron Hammer Studios before. Mm-hmm. They're here in the States, but they do all sorts of terrain, painting, assembly, and scratch building.
Yeah.
So they could make just about anything you want, which is pretty neat. And the prices are very reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of smaller places like that springing up. And you're right, you do have to be careful. Like you wouldn't want to go and order, you know, $200, $250 worth of stuff off of one of these guys the first time you'd ever placed an order without, you know, having some feedback from somebody. But yeah, you do a small test order, a building or two, and see how it goes. But yeah, there's actually a company in Pennsylvania. I think they're actually if they're not actually in Gettysburg, they're in Adams County, that does Civil War buildings, specifically models of the buildings that are actually on the Gettysburg battlefield, like the Kadori Farm and whatnot. So I'm gonna be ordering some stuff from them just to see, you know, if it's worthwhile, if the stuff is actually good, and if they're decent to work with. I'll probably order Kadori Farm first, and then we'll see. We'll go from there. But it would be kind of cool to play some of the Gettysburg stuff with models of the actual buildings that were, well, actually most of them are still there. So that would be fun.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, there's a lot of small shops like that, and not just buildings, but figures too. So it pays to look around a little. You gotta, like you said, you gotta be a little careful. I mean, it is the internet after all. But yeah, it pays to look around a little bit.
People might not think of this, but if you're not afraid of using social media, you actually can get some great deals on there. There's all sorts of like Google groups and Facebook groups and buy-sell boards and hashtags and things on Twitter or on Instagram, marketplace things and so forth, where you can go and you join these groups and you follow these hashtags, and they're gamers like you and I, and they're selling stuff that they have, or they're small companies that are just kind of up and going with cottage industry, and this is how they do business. Yeah. Or you can find a lot of trades and stuff that way. There's a lot of great groups, pay it forward groups, or just like, I don't know, Flames of War. We've been talking a lot about this episode, but Flames of War stuff, for example, you could find a Flames of War buy-sell board, or there's like in Her Majesty's service groups and all that kind of stuff, where you can say, hey, I need whatever I'm looking for. Can you help me get a line? So either they're going to recommend a business or a vendor for you, or maybe one of them has what you want, and so you can trade components and pieces around, or games, or buy from another gamer that way. So you can kind of find out about stuff that maybe you never would have been able to get otherwise.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, thank God for the internet.
There's so many things you can do now that
not God. Thank Al Gore for the internet.
that you couldn't do when we were kids.
No, my God. It was so ridiculous when, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, like writing letters, and I mean like an actual letter, like with a pen on a piece of paper to Avalon Hill to ask a question about the rules, for God's sake. Oh my God, crazy stuff.
Well, I used to read Wizard magazine because I was a comic book kid, and
Yeah.
they would have the write in with your questions about whatever superhero or that kind of stuff. I was always like, oh, I wish I could, but I'm not going to spend the time writing a letter and then mailing it to them and waiting to see if because they wouldn't reply to you, right? They'd only answer in the publication, and
Yeah.
so you'd have to like hope to like Stan Lee read what I said and
Yeah.
talk about it in his column. Like I don't know, maybe probably not. But, like the first computer I used was an Apple IIc.
Oh my God.
Playing Oregon Trail. So and read a rabbit. I mean,
Oh my word.
I am not a digital native. But my kids, right? My eldest, she picks up my phone and does things I didn't even know I could do with it.
Oh,
And
jeez.
she just turned 4. I mean, like that's scary.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, well, what else do I do with it? And I feel like I've gotten dumber with tech as I've gotten older. And I don't know, maybe I used to laugh at people like, how can you not know? Just like you learn. And I'm like, wait, I don't know. Like, well, how do I do this?
Well,
Maybe I don't want to learn.
I'll tell you what part of that is. When I first got in, I was the same. The first computer I ever used was actually a Radio Shack Trash 80.
Oh, wow.
The first one I ever owned was a Commodore 64, but back then it's like, it was all new stuff. And if you wanted to do the simplest stuff, you had to get pretty close to the metal to do some of it, You had to kind of know what you were doing. And now we're to the point where, and like then I knew that Commodore inside and out, and the same with the first couple of IBM clones that I owned inside. I knew everything about them. Now, even being a computer programmer, I just want it to work. I'm not interested in all. I want to turn it on and I want to do what it's supposed to do, and I don't give a crap. But kids aren't like that because they're curious. So that explains the difference, I think.
That's true. They just keep smashing buttons and pressing things.
Yeah, because they don't care.
They want.
Yeah, they don't care if they break it.
No, or next thing you know, you get a bill and they accidentally bought like $8,000 worth of stuff that you didn't know they bought.
Yeah, that's not their problem. You'll take care of that. But
yeah, well, of course, mom and dad just they fix it all, right? So
yeah,
they just make it all work.
All right. Well, that was a little off track, but
no, but I think it kind of goes back to the thing because right when you don't know where to get the products that you want, you kind of like those kids with technology where you're like, what buttons do I smash? But unlike them, you're more leery, right? Because we're older and more mature, presumably, and we don't want to have a bad experience, or we can't afford to have a bad experience. So maybe instead of smashing the buttons and trying a new place or trying another option, you just don't do anything because it's easier to do nothing, right, than to try something and have it blow up in your face.
Yeah. Sucks to be old.
It can, but that's why we're here, because we're here to help people and make life a little easier and better for everyone. One of the things that I never really thought much about was the ability to get cool and innovative products at gaming conventions and at game days. Obviously, there's the vendor booths and things of that sort, so you can find new companies coming out with stuff or new products that they want to try, so you can actually see and maybe experience and interact with these things before you purchase them, which is great because you can't do that online. And even game stores, they're not going to let you open up the box and be like, hey, what's inside? Let me see how it goes, right?
Yeah.
But at a convention, those vendor booths, they're like, hey, well, we got this new thing. Let's open it up and see how it goes or whatever, because they want to promote it. They want to get the business, not just from you, but from everyone else. So it's really neat. So that way you can kind of get stuff that way. And like, for example, with terrain, right? You and I have gotten some really amazing terrain from Wargamers Terrain. And I've ordered stuff separately from them, just online, but like, I want this, send me whatever. But you really like that experience of going to the vendor booth when they have one and seeing what they have and actually interacting with it there before you make your purchase. And then next thing you know, you buy a bunch of things that you really could use.
Yeah.
So I think it makes a difference. But also, like some conventions, they'll have, I think they call them like flea market kind of things where gamers or even some of the vendors might heavily discount stuff, like say the last day or last afternoon of the convention.
Yeah, stuff they just don't want to ship home or whatever.
Yeah, so like you can make out that way, so you can get some really good deals instead of paying full MSRP for stuff. You can save a fair bit as long as you don't mind holding it back with you. Or another gamer has things that they're like, hey, we got this, we want to get rid of. You can make a deal with them, maybe do a little horse trading, as it were. And just kind of work out a suitable arrangement that's great for everyone and get stuff going on.
Yeah.
It's not a bad way to do it. Uh, let's see, what other ways do we have? We talked about the Hobby Bunker. I
Yeah.
can't stress them enough because Hobby Bunker is amazing. Great company. Great place to shop. Great place to play games. And actually, for a small company, I think their online web store is actually pretty decent. I'm not great, but I think it's pretty decent.
Yeah, theirs is not bad at all. I mean, I've never ordered online from them because I'm what, 45 minutes away. It doesn't really make sense. But yeah, no, the website is nice.
I almost ordered a couple times, but it wasn't going to be enough to get the free shipping. There's like, really, do I want to pay for shipping from there to here? It's like X number of miles away.
Yeah.
And I just felt kind of silly, even though I knew I wouldn't get there until next game day or whatever that is.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I'm not gonna. But like, I should have, because really, it would have been worth it for me to just go ahead and do. And they ship anywhere. It's not just within the states. They'll ship
Oh
overseas.
yeah.
They do like wherever you are, you can get stuff from them. So they're not just an American centric kind of thing. People probably also don't think much about this as being a source for gaming stuff, but Amazon.
Yeah, I don't think of Amazon as a source for gaming stuff. I've looked for stuff on there, and maybe it's just the stuff that I look for, but I've never found what you would call a bargain on Amazon.
Yeah, I'm not going to say you're going to get a bargain on it, but you'll be able to get stuff obviously from the larger companies. You can buy like GW Paints and Army Painter products, Warlord Games kind of stuff that they'll have, rule books or ebooks or of some of the rules you can get for your Kindle or whatever. But you can actually get like box sets of Hail Caesar miniatures or things of that sort. Are you going to pay cheaper than you would elsewhere? Probably not. But you might get it. It might be a Prime thing. So if you're a member, you get the free 2-day shipping. But even if not, you get the Amazon customer service, and you might be doing business with them otherwise.
Right.
Obviously, I think you should go to someplace smaller and closer that you have a better relationship with. But for many people, it's kind of like you want to buy groceries or anything, and your only real option is going to Walmart.
Yeah.
There's a place that has everything. Amazon's kind of like that, so they might be your only option. And I know they're not in every country of the world, but like they might be the place that you have to go to. So again, maybe you don't buy as often because unlike paying extra for shipping, by going to direct to the manufacturer and paying international shipping, you don't have to do that usually, but you're going to be paying more for the product itself, most likely.
Right.
Sometimes I have found some paints have been cheaper actually from them that they've marked down compared to elsewhere. I mean, not tons, but again, you got to do a little looking and know what you want. But they're great for board games actually. So if you're looking for board games, you're going to get just about any board game. They always have deals on them just about every day. So you'll be able to find stuff at a pretty good price.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I've ordered rule sets from them that I oddly enough, couldn't find anywhere else. Cross the Deadly Field I got from Amazon. That's actually the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But yeah, no, they're definitely, I mean, obviously it's Amazon. They're a good source for almost anything. But yeah, it's kind of stupid to say this because I throw tons of money at Amazon, but I would still rather buy stuff elsewhere. But you can't deny the ease of access.
I agree with you. And the only thing I think to really kind of keep in mind is when you buy from Amazon, you might not be buying from Amazon.
Well, yeah, that's true. If somebody's got like an Amazon web store set up or something like that, yeah.
So like a lot of game stores are doing that too. They'll have it set up so that they can sell through there, or independent bookstores are selling that way, and things of that sort. So you kind of have to look at who the seller is more than just that it's on Amazon. And so like if you wait a while, one seller might be charging more than another, so you just wait a little bit, and then you get the game or the miniatures or whatever it is you wanted at a different price.
Right. Yeah, true.
So it's worth checking into that, adding stuff to your wish list, because then it'll track if the price has gone up or down since you added it, and that way you can kind of tell if it's a good time to buy or not.
Yeah.
Just all some tricks that people can use for this kind of stuff. Well, I think we probably have exhausted that topic.
Probably not, but maybe for now.
You can always come back. I mean, we've been doing this for so long. Many years. I find that every so often we have a need to go back to topics that we've covered before because maybe there's new information or something interesting that goes on that it just pays to revisit. And honestly, and I don't begrudge anyone, but we've done so many episodes. I don't expect anyone to have listened to the whole catalog. And sometimes it just makes sense to do a topic we did before, so the new listeners get it without having to go back to the old stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, especially because some of the old stuff that I'm not on is really pretty bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we need you on. People care.
Oh my gosh.
They want you on. Speaking of people who are on the show, we are working, or rather I am anyway, we're getting some guests lined up for this season. So we will be having Joe Pittington come on. He's the director and creative force behind Miniature Wargaming the movie. And that's one Alex and I talked about. And I don't care what anyone says. Alex is still wrong. It does not have too much sad piano in that movie. I think the music is just right. And I think it's funny that people still reference the sad music in there, although they misattribute it to me when it's not me, because I thought it was just fine. It was he of the golden voice. But Joe will be coming on at some point in 2019 because the movie's doing its premiere. It'll be actually debuting out and going through all like the normal streams that people can get it, because they will be finishing up the film festival circuit, and it's done pretty well. Got some nominations, won some awards, so that's pretty exciting that Joe will come on again. It'll be his third time, I think, coming on the show, and he'll talk about the film and where things are, and be able to answer questions and respond to critiques that we've had about the film. So that'll be a lot of fun. We're also working on getting the amazing Jorg Bender from Things from the Basement to come on. They got a new Kickstarter coming out, Mediterranean Village. They did a Soviet one before. Do you remember seeing that, Adrian?
Yes.
That was so good. I wish I had backed it. But this one looks good too. Mediterranean can do all sorts of stuff with it. So he's going to talk about that once we get that scheduled. And he's also going to talk about, do you know that has a business relationship now with Foreground?
I think I did see something about that on one of the Facebook groups he's in. We're in together.
Foreground was so
mentioned. Yeah.
Well, they were so impressed with his product because he does laser cut, MDF-ish.
Yeah, it's definitely not. Terrain. Yeah, it's not MDF. It's I forget what he calls
HD it. Something, or I can't remember.
Yeah, it's
better than MDF.
It is. It is because it's easier to assemble, at least in my experience. But anyway, go ahead.
The instructions are better. Well, so Foreground was so impressed with when they saw his stuff that they're going to be selling painted and assembled versions of his thing, or at least painted anyway. I don't know if it's going to be assembled, but at least painted. So it'll cost a little bit more. Foreground was on Beast of War, talking about it and showing some of the pieces. So that was really exciting. I had known about this for a while, but I wasn't really allowed to say much until more formal announcements were made. So he's going to be talking about that a little bit, which is really cool. I'm so excited for him. Him and his wife are just amazing people. And we got to play Test of Honor with them, which was a lot of fun. I wish them all the best. They're just really cool people. And then also, this is going to sound a little weird, but I'm in talks with a licensed psychotherapist to come on the show, because we've actually gotten a lot of really good feedback about the episodes that we've done where Joshua Schubert talked about depression that he experiences and how gaming helps that. And I talked about anxiety, and this 2018 was kind of the year of mental health. And there's just been this outpouring of gamers in general talking about how different aspects of the hobby help them and their struggles with it. And so the psychotherapist I'm in talks with said she would like to come on and talk about some of these issues in ways that, from a more medical and clinical standpoint, that they can, that our hobby really can be beneficial, and why it is. And I thought that might be kind of interest to people, just because those episodes really seem to touch a chord with people. And I think there's more gamers that you and I know, Adrian, who deal with these things that maybe don't talk about them, and that maybe we're not aware that they talk about them. And my suspicion, and I can't say this is fact, but my suspicion is that a large percentage, or a dominant percentage of people in the hobby deal with these issues, maybe even larger than the normal average.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me to find out that's true.
But I think we could do some good. And I mean, it would be different because it's going to be kind of talking about that more than whatever. But I think that might be of interest to people, and something I've been wanting to do for a year and a half. It was hard to find someone who would be willing to come on and talk. And usually they're like, "Wait, what do you do? And why would I come on? Wait, how is this going to be of interest? Because I'm in medicine and you don't talk about medicine."
Yeah, and you're not. So,
but this person's really interested in it, so we're trying to arrange all that and get that going. And then also, I can say that the people over at Dwarven Forge want to come on again, so that's really cool.
Cool, yeah.
I don't have dates for any of these things for everyone, but they're all in the works. So we do have some cool guests lined up. And just a call back to something that we reviewed last year, I was really surprised. Do you get Wargame Soldiers and Strategy magazine, Adrian?
No, I don't.
Okay. We get it at my work because I convinced them that it made sense to add it to our collection and that it'd be worthwhile to have for our users. And turns out I was right. Yay me. But also it was great because that way I could just get it every month. Well, every issue and look at it. The new issue really surprised me because there was a review in there for something that we covered before on the show, and they actually gave it a pretty decent review. And it is the Everlasting Wet Palette by Redgrass Games. And I was quite shocked. Like, I was flipping through and I was like, wait a sec, is this the same thing? And I looked, and sure enough, it was. And I was like, oh my goodness, they must. Clearly, there's something that I'm just not getting because other people claim they like it, or at least the company claims other people like it.
Yeah.
But I do know other professional painters who are like, this isn't good. What are they talking about? This is awful. So I was surprised, and I was curious if you had seen that and what your thoughts were.
I had not, no. Yeah, well, it's, I guess a case of your mileage may vary. Maybe you were doing something wrong, but I mean, it's hard to use a wet palette wrong unless you make it too wet. But
even then,
yeah, I don't know. I haven't used it. I'm happy with my paper towel and Baker's paper solution.
Yeah, don't use it.
So
it was a hard pass. It's one of the few times we ever actually spent any time on the show, and I gave something a hard pass after spending time with it on the show. They actually have a Kickstarter out now, or maybe it's done for a painting handle. And I was like, oh well, maybe I'll look at the painting handle and think about it because I mean, you know how much I love the Citadel one.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, another painting handle could be kind of interesting, right? To see, I could do like a painting handle episode. We can compare and contrast. And there's another company that's doing another one where it's like motorized, so it'll rotate or whatever, has a light. And I was like, oh, we can look at that one too. Plus this whole thing. And then I was looking at it and I realized the way that the model stays on the top is some sort of like modeling putty that like it sticks in. And so basically after a while, that modeling putty is just going to get like all fuzzy and stuff when you're using it. And I don't think you can swap it out or anything. It's not like you can buy other ones. So it's going to be a waste. And I thought it was very, very odd, but people claim they love it. And like they came up with paintbrushes. It's supposed to be the only 2 or 3 paintbrushes you will ever need. They never made any other sizes because these are the only sizes any real painter needs. And I talked with someone who got some and they were like, that's bull. Like a pro painter that a painter was usually like, no, that's not right. But I don't know. So I don't know what it is, but I give them credit for keep persevering. I really do. It's not easy to keep going at it, and they have a strong artistic idea for what they want to do. I just wish their follow through and construction matched what they have in their heads.
Yeah.
But so I was surprised. But again, that's why there's so many different options out there, right? So you have all these different magazines, Adrian, all these different podcasts and websites, because we all have different takes on stuff.
Yep. Don't confine yourself to one source.
No, don't. There's tons of great podcasts out there. I highly recommend people check them out. And I love all these magazines and the venues and stuff. And it's worth looking around and seeing what you like.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, Adrian. It's a great way to kick off the new season. Yeah, hurrah. 2019, yay.
1 year closer to death.
Sure.
Yeah,
go with that.
Yeah, that was fun. Like I said, I can't remember the last time. I do think that the Dungeon World episode was the last one I did, so it's been quite some time now.
That really has, and I'm trying to. So terrible. I can't even. So my brain's mush because I got a baby, right? But like that aside, like I can't remember when that episode was. It was so long ago. It was like what number 2 something 2.
I couldn't tell you.
220, 210. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. I was sort of thinking end of September, beginning of October, but I'm not sure.
No, I bet you're right. Or maybe not that long ago. But no, I think you're right. So really, that's not as far back as I thought it was. It feels a lifetime because I took 2.5 months off.
Yeah,
it's really weird to be doing this. It's good, but it just. It's like when you haven't worn a pair of shoes for a while and you put them on and like get your feet readjusted. You're like, well, how does this go?
How do I wear shoes again?
How do they lace up? I don't remember. Does my foot stick in? Was there always this much room? Did my toes rub against? Like, I don't know.
That problem I don't believe I've ever had, but I kind of understand what you're saying. Yeah.
or actually more likely for me, it's so I do this thing that some people do where they have clothes in different sizes, and like you delude yourself into thinking you will be whatever that size is again, or just in case. And sometimes like you are, so like I'll say like I'll have a pair of pants, and like everyone with a pair of pants at age so like they wouldn't fit, and the next thing you know, I'm like, hey, they'll fit now. I put them on, and they're like, oh wait, let's get back in these pants. These are different. That might be a better analogy for people, or maybe
Perhaps.
not. I don't know. But it's good to be back.
Yeah.
I hope people enjoy the show. I hope people enjoy listening. I'm excited that we still here, that we get the sponsors, that it's still going, because we've had some changes on our Patreon, where there've been adjustments down in that, and Patreon's been going through this whole rocky thing in general as a company. So who knows how long that'll continue, or that we'll be able to continue our relationship with Patreon. But it's great that we've had these sponsors that help us to stay afloat, because it's not cheap doing the show. And we make adjustments and do what we can, but at the end of the day, it needs to be self-sustaining. So
Yeah.
it's nice that people care enough that they're able to do it. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, I honestly don't know when the next episode comes out, because I was about to say next time we will be doing whatever, and I don't even know what we're talking about, because that's the new way we're doing it here. We're a little looser, more casual. See what comes as it comes. It's interesting trying to record with a little one.
Yeah, it's the only way. It's the only way to roll in that kind of a lifestyle. You gotta take it as it comes and do what you can.
You've been there.
Yep, don't miss it.
No, it's an adjustment. There's something to be said for just sitting on a chair or on the couch and having a 5-week-old on your chest, and then you nod off, because that happens far too often for me. It's nice. They're like a little heater, but then at the same point, there's all these things I need to get done. And you're like, oh, I got to do these things, or like, I really need to like sleep horizontal in the bed for more than 2 hours. That'd be nice. Like wonderful things. They'll come back. They'll come back eventually.
Oh yeah.
It'll be okay. But I should say actually one last thing. I'm not going to be there, but you might be. TotalCon's coming up actually a couple weeks from the moment that we're recording this.
Yeah.
Do you know? Are you and our Dungeon World DM going to be able to make it?
I do not know. I got to look and see what the weekend is. What my own call schedule at work looks like. If she wants to go, we might go out for a day. I don't know.
I would say not just for you, but for anyone else who's listening, that the badges are selling out. So they have not a ton left of the Saturdays. Those are going pretty quickly. And the weekend ones are getting lower as well. So if that's something that you or anyone else is thinking about, act now. Go to totalcon.com and check it out. And they actually have a whole new system that they're doing for the online thing, which is the same people that Huzzah is now using as well. They changed to a new online registration system. So you might want to give yourselves a little extra time to get used to the new system and create an account if you don't have one, and all that kind of thing, to sign up for all the events and everything.
Right.
But it's pretty cool.
Cool.
So people should check out TotalCon, and then of course you and I will be at Huzzah, and I actually think I'm planning to go to Havoc this year, which is exciting.
Yeah, we missed last year, didn't we? Yeah, we should go. Yeah, we should. We did. We should go this year. Yeah.
I think we did miss last year, and I don't remember if it was snow or what it was. And I wasn't planning to go this year, because I was like, oh, I'm going to Huzzah, so we'll be up in Maine, and then with the kids, and be like another day. But
Havoc's like a couple of hours, though. I mean, you drive out, you drive back. It's not like you're gone for a weekend or something.
No, it'll be like, say, most of a day, but that'll be okay, I think.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. I'm looking forward to that, to doing these things when possible and get that stuff going on. But if people want to stay in touch with what you're doing, I already know what you're going to say, but if people want to stay in touch with what you're doing, how can they keep up to date with you, or how can they connect with you if they so wanted to?
If they really want to, they can. The best way is the Wargaming Recon, the Facebook page. I am on Twitter, but I don't tweet, so I would say don't bother.
Well, you might reply, Mr. at @abenson229.
I might reply, but yeah.
Or hashtags. Sometimes you follow hashtags, or you get mentioned.
Sometimes, yeah. I don't use Twitter all that much, but I do follow some gaming stuff there that people should be. If you're a role player, you're probably already aware of Chaosium, for example, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't use Twitter a lot. I don't know. But anyway, I am on Twitter. Yeah, like you said, at abenson229 if you want to try that. But the Facebook page is really the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And people can, of course, stay in touch with us. We're on all the things, everywhere: billboards, cars, houses, Google Maps. We're on
NPR.
Yeah, NPR coming soon to you, courtesy of Ira Glass. We're everywhere as Wargaming Recon, whether it's Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I think not that we've done anything on there. Facebook,
Snapchat.
Yeah, all the things. We're on all the things, everywhere. All the things in all the depositories. We're on Stitcher. You can listen to us. I'm not going to say the name of it because my device will start blinking at me. But we're on the Amazon home device where you can speak its name and it'll do stuff for you. And I can't say it because it's right in front of me. And it will literally be like, what did you say? And it'll just go. But you can actually use that by saying, hey, name of device. Play Wargaming Recon podcast on TuneIn, I think it is. And then it'll start playing the show for you on your device. You can also do it on your iOS device as well if you have. So you can say, hey, name of Apple Assistant, play Wargaming Recon, and it'll play it on the what do they call it? Apple Podcasts now, don't they? The Apple Podcasts app or all that kind of stuff, or your computer can do it. It's kind of neat and kind of creepy at the same time. So we're in all the things. You can email us, Jonathan@wargamingrecon.com, all those kind of cool things. But I want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen to this episode of Wargaming Recon. We will be back next time with another episode of the show. We have all sorts of cool things going on in 2019. It's a year of adjustments here for us as we have changes in format and styling and frequencies and all that kind of stuff. And I want to thank everyone for your understanding with our extra long break this time, as my wife and I got used to having a newborn again at home and doing all that kind of stuff. So I know it was kind of a downer for you guys and ladies to not have as many new episodes this year because we pushed back. Instead of middle of January, we pushed back to middle of February for an episode to come out. So that's a hard adjustment, but I appreciate your willingness to do it. And we have just all sorts of cool stuff coming on. So thank you all for that. Thank you again, Adrian, for being on the episode.
Sure.
It's a lot of fun as always. And remember, no matter, I don't know, I'm cracking up now. It's hilarious, I'll crack up. No matter how busy you are, no matter what's going on in your life, no matter how difficult it is for you to try to get those historical wargaming miniatures and games that you want, no matter what, you need to, you have to keep on gaming.